Hi, I'm John. This is my show, A Sports Reckoning. So, I'm going to make this video in a little bit of a response to something that Cousin Oz said from Cousin's Collectibles. Now, I would have played his clip first, but I needed to show these photos, and these photos were sent to me from one of my friends, but this is in my email. And so, I didn't like the idea of like going to, I'm not sure if I can line it up properly. If I go to the video and then I come back to my email, the photo could be different, and then maybe it could show you something I don't want you to see and stuff, right? So I needed to start with these photos in my email so I could have it lined up so you're only going to see, make sure I don't show you some information I don't want you to see. But that's why we're starting with this and stuff, right? Like technically it's a little out of order. But so what had happened was, in the Cousin Oz thing, he had mentioned that he had bought a photograph of Michael Jackson, and he said there's Michael Jackson in his Sherlock Holmes hat. And that intrigued me because I didn't catch. There's these things that I always say that there's a lot more information within the subtlety details of these photographs, right? But you got to look, and if you start looking at it that way, if you're starting to look at it through with your Sherlock Holmes hat on and you're investigating, you'll see that there's more to it. And so the photo he had of the Sherlock Holmes hat, this is going to be the actual photo shoot of where that photo comes from, right? So this is one of the photos. So in this photo, the other thing of what happened is, so when I saw that this was the photo shoot, right, I was like, okay, well, that's Michael in New York. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. There's always more to it, right? And so in the photo shoot, I'm like, well, that's Michael in New York, and they're looking at about that age, and it looks like he's in kind of a high-rise apartment, which I'm going to show you. And so I know that when Michael went to film The Wiz, when he was filming The Wiz with Diana Ross, I know that he was staying in New York. There was a lot of filming in New York that took place there. And that's why when you see Michael Jackson like at Studio 54, and you'll see him with Diana Ross at Studio 54, a lot of that took place during the period of time where he was living in New York when he was filming The Wiz, right? And then so there's this other thing, I'd have to go search and stuff, but I was always under the assumption that when Michael went to New York that he was staying in Diana Ross's apartment. I was always under the assumption of that, but I'm not positive. It's one of these things is like, I have so much information. Now that information, I think it's in my head that that's the way I think about it, but I'm not positive. I have to go back and research and actually investigate that to find out, right? But so that was the kind of thing I'm like, wait. So this photo shoot where Michael's wearing the Sherlock Holmes hat, that's taking place in New York, in Diana Ross's apartment at the time of where he's filming The Wiz, right? That's what I'm saying. It's like, there's a lot more information to it. Now, in Diana Ross's apartment, that's still a thing that's like, in this video, I haven't proven that. I'd have to go back and double check. That's a thing I'd have to go back. But I probably could find it in his book or find some other things. I could probably find some information about that. But like I said, I'm not 100% positive on that. I have to double check. But just for some reason, I always thought that that's the way it was. But so when I first saw the picture here, because down at the bottom it does say New York, right? But before I saw that it does say New York, and it says 1977. So that pins it down. But see, my assumption when I saw this photo, I'm thinking that's in New York, that's when he's filming The Wiz. That's what this photo is related to. And later on, I'm going to show you here, it does confirm that. But so what happened was I started looking I wanted to prove that that was New York, right? And so I'm doing my investigation. So I see the bridge in the back, and there's a thing about bridges. I know that bridges usually have distinctive features, and if you look at the bridge and see the actual features of the bridge, and then if you have an idea of where it's located, you should be able to find that bridge, right? So I went looking for bridges in New York, right? And so I'm going to show you that. But so there's this picture. There's a few pictures here. But so like on this too, you see Michael's on a balcony there. See, that gives me more clues. Okay, it's close to the bridge. He's in some kind of building, and he's in some form of a high-rise because you can see he's way up in the air. And there's also balconies on this building, right? So then you go to, let's go down to here. Okay, then you get like this picture. Now, in this picture, you can see in the background, there's a building there in the background, right? You can see what that building actually looks like, okay? So that gave me another clue to try and find out, like, what building is he in? Like, what state's he in? Like, is it in New York, you know? So it gave me clues and stuff to go search for, right? And so, let me scroll down. show you these. So this is the pictures. So like I said, my friend found the whole pictures of the whole photo shoot here that was taking place where he's got that Sherlock Holmes hat on, right? So like I said, I'm just going to show you this stuff first. See, like there's a whole photo shoot he did with this Sherlock Holmes hat on. And so what I was talking about with the Sherlock Holmes, so this is the actual picture here. That's the one that Cousin Oz got. That's the one that Cousin Oz got a graded copy of a photo of that, right? And so what I'm going to show you here too is that his hand position to me resembles the sculpture called the Thinker. Okay, so I'm gonna show you that too. So I just wanted to point that out. And then, okay, so I think it's right under this one. It says, okay, so then it says right here. See, it says right there. It says Michael Jackson portrait, New York, 1977. Okay, so now we know it is in New York, and it was in 1977, which would align with the time of where he was in New York when he was filming The Wiz. And that's what I'm saying is important, because he's got his Sherlock Holmes hat on at this time, because like I'm saying, he's in New York working with Diana Ross and stuff, and the Sherlock Holmes is like investigating into information, but looking deeper into the information to find the truth that was hidden that nobody else could see, because they weren't looking past like just the surface issues and stuff, right? So, and there he is. There's Michael again, right? So that's the photos. Now, let's go ahead and let's go to let's see where we at here. Okay, let's go ahead and show you this one first. Just because, okay, so like I said, I'm not going to show you those photos anymore. Now I'm going to show you. So this one here, like I said, I was looking up bridges in New York. It had like 13 bridges. And then so this one, the Queensboro Bridge, right? And then so I came to that bridge and I'm like, okay, that's the bridge. Because I looked at it really closely and I could tell the design features and stuff by looking at it. I'm like, okay, that's the bridge, right? And then in this picture, that's the building that's behind Michael. I matched up because you can even see at the top there, it has some distinctive features up there at the top. And you can tell that that's like, okay, that's a resident building, because there's like patios, little patios out there on all the, and that's the building. But you can see that he's in a building, and then that building's in the background, right? So at first, like when I first saw this, I'm like, there's this really modern looking building here, right? And so when I first saw these two buildings, I was thinking, oh, they're in that modern building on the right. But I'm like, no, he's on a patio. I'm like, no, he's on a patio. So I'm like, what is that? And then what happens if you look close, you can see that so this building here has a twin. So it have like a south tower and a north tower, whatever the name of that building is. That's what it's got two. If you look through there, you can see there's another one there on the other side. So that's the building that Michael, I'm assuming that's the building he would have been in. He's in one of those buildings. He's in one of those buildings when he was taking that photo. So that photo shoot that I just showed you. See, this is the kind of thing with my investigation and stuff, and what I'm showing you. So I'm looking at all kinds of different stuff. I'm actually searching, trying to find real evidence and stuff, right? But this shows you that is the actual building he was in. So he's definitely in New York, because like I said, there's the Queensboro Bridge. So now we know exactly where he was at. He was in that building. It's either the north or the south tower, or whatever, where that photo shoot. But that's where it's taking place. So this is one of those things where, for investigation purposes, it's like, okay, so if you could research, it's like, did Diana Ross ever, I would go and find the name of that building. It's like one of these things, if I wanted to do further research, it's okay, well, now we know what the building is, where it's actually located. I could probably, it wouldn't take me long to research and stuff and actually find the name of that building. And then when I find the name of that building, it's like one of those things about researching. Could I find a connection to find out that if Diana Ross ever had an apartment in that building? It's like one of those things, like doing the investigation. This is how I investigate stuff, right? Because I want real evidence and stuff, right? It's like one of those things. If I could find out that Diana Ross had an apartment in that building, then I think it would be safe to assume that is her apartment that Michael was staying in, right? But those are those technicalities. You'd have to look at things. I'd have to do more research. It just takes a lot of research and time, which is not so easy to do. But now we know exactly where. I just think it's cool that we know exactly what building Michael Jackson's photo shoot there, where he had on his Sherlock Holmes. We know exactly what building it was in. We know what year it took place, and we know it's in New York. So like I said, it's safe to assume that that photo shoot took place during the filming of The Wiz, because that's when we know he was in that area at that time when he was filming The Wiz with Diana Ross, right? So another thing is that this photo, now there's this photo here of Michael, and I've seen this photo in color and stuff. I'm pretty sure I've seen it in color, but I just couldn't find it really quick here. But there's this photo of Michael, right, where he's got the camera, but you could tell he's in a high-rise apartment. But right behind him is this poster of Diana Ross, right? There's so much stuff with Michael and Diana. And once you just get past and understand that the Michael Jackson relationship with Diana Ross could not be sexual, like when I explain it to you and I show it to you, that any of the times where they're saying that they love each other or that he would marry her or whatever the stuff, and that they, whatever, is just misleading, that they can't tell you the truth, and then so they have to cover it up and it just comes out that way. But I can prove through other hardcore evidence, through my investigation, I can prove it's not possible that Michael and Diana were having any form of a sexual relationship. And then it's like, once you look away from it as a sexual relationship, then you look at it and you start looking at the information overwhelmingly tells you one thing, that Diana's his mom. That's the whole relationship and dynamic of what was actually taking place when this relationship. But nobody could ever understand that part, so they just said, oh, they're fucking, because the stupid humanity in the culture, society, all they can think about is with their genitalia. Their brains don't really work. They can't really think. But they can get an erection. Oh, he's fucking her. Yeah, we must be fucking that bitch. Yeah, get her. I mean, these people are so fucking stupid and shit, right? But so the other thing, I was trying to look for details in there, in that apartment. I couldn't really see a lot, but there was also this picture. See, when you look at this shirt, you can see that that's the same shirt in the other one that I just showed you, and Michael with the camera. So he's got the same shirt on, right? And so I was trying to see some of the features, like you can see on the blinds there, or on the drapes, there's a little bit of brown there, and maybe a little bit of brown on the drapes, right? But I couldn't see that in the other photos that I was just showing you from the Sherlock Holmes photo shoot. So I couldn't perfectly match it up, because I was wondering, it's like, is this the same apartment that that he's doing the photo shoot with the Sherlock Holmes hat, right? I was like, is that the same apartment? I'm not positive on that. It's like one of those things I'd have to look into more. But like I said, on this one, you see, look at the shirt. Look at the shirt Michael's got on. And you can see now that's the same shirt. So you know that that's and he's got the camera. So those two photos took place in the same apartment, right? But this is some kind of high-rise apartment thing. Looks like he's in New York. And right behind him is the Diana Ross poster. It's just interesting, you know, wondering, it's like, where's these taking place? But I'm always wondering, where are these things taking place? When did it happen? You know, I'm always questioning, asking lots more information, right? So then this is the Cousin Oz and the Cousins Collectible Podcast. And so what happened with this stuff is it all sparked because he said the Sherlock Holmes thing, which I did not pick up on it. And I made my other video on my other page showing that it is a Sherlock Holmes hat, right? But so let me go and show you this little part here.
I have it readily available. And it's just MJ, and it's just, to me, this is him, like, innocent. You know what I mean? Before everything that happened, him in his Sherlock Holmes hat with his afro right beneath it, and just looking real nice and innocent before the fame.
He says before the fame, but what he means is before the solo fame, because Michael Jackson obviously was already, see, and that's the thing, is like, when he's saying before the fame, and he's like, no, you don't get it. When Michael Jackson went to Motown, because you got to remember how famous they were as the Jackson 5 and stuff, right? So all the fame, he already went through all of that before this time, right? But so this is before the fame of his solo career. But the Jackson 5 was a huge act. They were huge stars, right? And he was dealing with that at 11 years old and shit, right? But so what he's trying to say here is this shows MJ innocent before he gets into the solo fame, and then all the other kind of problems and things that come along with that, right? But that's not true at all. The true story of what happened was that Diana Ross told Michael, when he gets to Motown, Diana Ross told Michael the truth, that she was his real mother, that he was actually abandoned as a child, given away as a child. He was given to the Jackson family, that the Jacksons are really not his family, that Joe and Catherine are not his real parents, right? That's what messed MJ up. But then she tells him, like Michael says in the line Billie Jean, she says, I'm the one, but the kid is not my son, because she calls Michael to the room and she tells Michael, you're the one, you're the love child of me and Smokey Robinson. And that's what it says in the lines. She came and stood right by me. The smell of sweet perfume. This happened much too soon. She called me to her room. But Billie Jean's not my lover. She's this girl who claimed that I'm the one, but the kid is not my son. She claimed that I'm the one. She calls Michael to her room. It's in her house. This shit's all documented that when Michael moves to LA, that they're staying in Diana Ross's house for periods of time. Like Michael says in his book, Moonwalk, Diana would take him out alone almost every day over the period of a year and a half. How could that possibly happen? How is that even possible? But Diana Ross tells the Jacksons, that's my kid, and I'm going to have a relationship with him. If you got a problem with the Jacksons, I'll just go ahead and tell the fucking whole world that this is my kid. There goes your fucking Jackson 5 fucking band. What do you got without Michael? So what the Jacksons do? Okay, Diana, go ahead, take him. Which never could have possibly happened. It's not possible that fucking dynamic of the relationship could have ever existed without my story being true. It's not fucking possible. But it happened, and it's well documented. And Michael then documents it in the song Billie Jean. He tells you exactly what happened. She called me to the room. This happens much too soon. She calls me to her room. And the Billie Jean's not my lover. She's the girl that claims that I'm the one. She tells Michael, you're the one. You're the love child of me and Smokey Robinson. It was your birth that spawned all of these other events to happen. Like Diana Ross being able to get into Motown because now she had done a favor for Berry Gordy by getting rid of the kid. So that allowed Berry Gordy to keep working with Smokey Robinson. If Diana doesn't get rid of the kid, who knows what happens? Everything is different. Everything is different. Right? And then because she did that, then that's how Diana gets her way into Motown and right to the head of the band, leader of the Supremes, to be the leader of the Supremes, gets Holland Dozier and Holland, gets them to start writing the best song. She takes them, all the best songs that they start writing, she takes them. There's going to be a Supreme song. She had power, and that's why they call her the boss. How did she have all of this power? Because she had done this favor for Berry Gordy by abandoning her child. But then it is the kid of her and Smokey, and the kid's got talent. And Berry Gordy understands who that kid is, right? And so when Berry Gordy then finally does see the Jackson 5, because Berry Gordy didn't want Joe Jackson's trying to hustle his kids, and he's trying to say, look we made a band with the kid, and Berry Gordy's just like, dude, you're just doing anything you can. You're trying to get any way you can to get a record deal, because first what happened when Joe Jackson first gets Michael, Joe Jackson reforms his band, the Falcons, and I'm sure he was trying to get a record deal. But he's blues music, and it didn't fit. So I think that's where it happened, is that he was trying to get a record deal with Motown, and Berry Gordy turned him down, said no. Right? And I think he probably said to him, we're looking for a younger crowd, a younger audience is what music we're making to. And I think that's what gave Joe the idea. He says, oh, you want younger? And when he went back home and realized that he wasn't going to make it with his band, and then that's when he looks at his kids. Because like the other day I was reading a thing where Joe was trying to say like, oh, he saw the talent in his kids. Bullshit, you were never training your kids. That's why Jackie plays a goddamn tambourine. Jackie Jackson doesn't do shit. He's the oldest son. Doesn't do anything. It's such a bullshit story, and once you go back and look at it, you see easily that all the lies of what they're telling you are designed to cover up the fact of what actually happened, right? So, and then that's how Joe starts training Tito. Tito's not secretly, that story they tell you that Tito's playing the guitar and he breaks the string, and they even say that Catherine was allowing it to happen. It's like, okay, Joe Jackson has one thing that's his, is that guitar. And as an adult, with his guitar, that he doesn't have, well, he's not super rich and shit. The only thing that he owns in that tiny little house is his guitar. And you think that there's any chance in the world that Tito would have been allowed to play that and Catherine was letting him? It's like bullshit, because what would have happened in the real world is when Tito broke the string, and then Tito would have been saying, well, Mom said it was okay, then Joe would have beat her fucking ass. That's the real world. There's no arguing that. That's what would have fucking happened. If anybody touched that guitar and damaged it, there would have been hell to pay. People would have been getting their asses beat. And Catherine would have damn sure well known who this Joe Jackson fucker was by that time. And she would have known, if that guitar gets messed up, she would have known, I'm going to get my fucking ass beat. Put that fucking guitar back, Tito. That never ever could have happened in that little fucking house. And then you're gonna tell me Joe wouldn't have known that somebody was playing with his guitar? When you're an adult, like your room right there, Oz, you have all your little knickknacks in that room. If you walk into that room and one of those knickknacks is moved in the slightest fucking bit, you know it. Because that's your fucking room. Those are your possessions. Nobody's allowed to touch that shit. And when you walk into that room, if one of those things is in the slightest bit out of place, you will fucking spot it. Because we are adults. We see things differently. So when they're telling you the story that Tito's playing the guitar, it's like, dude, there's no possible way he could have put the guitar back in a position where Joe would not have been aware of it. He obviously would have known. So that story's bullshit. It could not have ever happened. Oh, he's secretly playing the guitar. Joe doesn't know anything about it. Bullshit. Bullshit. Not that fucking guitar. He would have known exactly where it was at. Anybody who touched it and moved it a hair, he would have been beaten their asses. That's a lie. But my story tells you Joe tried to reform his band as soon as Michael comes into the house. He doesn't know Michael's got the talent. He just knows now he's got a connection to Berry Gordy in a way that he feels that he can strong arm him. He's got leverage over him. So Joe reforms his band because he's not looking at his kids because his kids don't do shit. They got no talent. None of them play the instruments. So what does Joe do? Joe reforms his band, the Falcons. But then, like I said, it didn't work. So then after that, that's when he starts looking at his kids and he starts training Tito to play the guitar, and Jermaine comes in there with the bass and stuff, but he starts training them. Like I said, Jackie's not doing shit. He's too old. He's not even doing anything at that time. So he starts training them. They start learning the music, and then as soon as Michael shows that he has talent and can sing, now Joe knows exactly what we're going to do. Oh, now we've got a band, and the kid that I got from Berry Gordy has the talent and is a singer. I'm going to take these kids on the road. You really think Joe Jackson would have ever looked upon a 5-year-old kid and been like, I trust that kid. That kid's got talent. Joe Jackson, this piece of shit fucking bastard Joe Jackson, going to look at a 5-year-old and place the trust of his family's future upon a 5-year-old? It's stupid. You people are dumb as fuck to think that that could have ever have happened. But my story, now when he sees the 5-year-old's got talent and he's trying to get to Motown, yeah, this is the kid I got for him. I got leverage now over Berry Gordy. I'm going to strong him. Boom, we're going on the road. I know exactly what we're doing. None of that stuff would happen unless my story's true. That explains everything. Constantly over and over and over. And so the thing about the picture that was big is that Michael's wearing a Sherlock Holmes hat, which the whole style of the Sherlock Holmes character is that there's more information, there's hidden details that are placed within this evidence that people just don't see. So in order for you to see it, you got to put on your fucking Sherlock Holmes hat and start thinking in a different way from a different perspective. And when you start looking at it and start thinking differently like that, now you start seeing the hidden evidence that is there that nobody else can understand. And that's what Michael Jackson is doing by putting on the Sherlock Holmes hat in New York City at the time of where he's filming The Wiz with Diana Ross. He starts to have these ideas of placing hidden messages within his art. And like I said, that's what he did with Billie Jean. And it's like I said, that hat represents Michael, the thinking adult brain of Michael, understanding now how to hide messages into your art that most people can't see. But if you start thinking on a higher level, that the people who's smart enough to understand and investigate, if you start looking at it that way, you'll see this other fucking story is hidden, has been layered within the fucking song. But you gotta put on your fucking Sherlock Holmes hat in order to do that. And then the other thing is the hand placement of Michael in this picture. I was saying that also represents the sculpture of Rodin's The Thinker. Okay? This is one of the most famous sculptures in history, is The Thinker. Okay? And so, see the position of how the thinker, he's sitting there thinking, he's supposed to be taking a shit. That's kind of like what it's supposed to represent too. He's supposed to be like on the toilet and shit, right? Thinking and deep thought. But that's the thinker, right? And see how his hand position has his hand underneath his chin like that. That's what the photo, that's what's in the photo that he's got there with the Michael. He has his hand position there. I'll show you on the better photo. Let's go back here. There. Okay. See, that's why his hand, so in that, oh, see, I went back. Yeah, see, because I had adjusted the fucking, see, I don't know, that one was messed up. See, like I had adjusted, I forgot I wasn't going to go back to there and shit, right? But I think it was okay. I don't think it showed anything crazy. But so, in that photo, see, now it's not just that he's got a Sherlock Holmes hat on, he's also got his hand position in a position like the thinker. And so that's what he's showing you, that Michael Jackson at this time in his life was aware of being able to have deep thoughts and to understand how to hide information into details and stuff that people would see it one way. But if you put on your Sherlock Holmes hat and start being in deep thought, that's what this photo represents. That Michael was aware that you could go into deep thought, you could put on your Sherlock Holmes hat, and you could see other information that was layered underneath the surface information that the public is all being exposed to, and they're too dumb to ever have any truth and understanding of what's really going on, right? So that's what I'm saying. That picture and this photo shoot takes place during the filming of The Wiz, when he's with Diana Ross in New York, right? That's what's so important about this photo. It's really important, and it shows a whole bunches of other stories and information. And like how Cousin Oz was saying, it was before Michael gets famous. It's before his solo career. But so that's what I'm saying is like this captures the essence of the thought process of Michael Jackson before he starts to make his solo art and he starts to create art. And within his art, he's got this deceptive, this very intellectual process of what he was doing, and he's like, well, the stupid people, go ahead, you just think Billie Jean, I'll just tell you it's about a groupie, and then that you guys could think that's all what you want. But he knows that it doesn't matter what he tells the smart person. Like he knows it doesn't matter what you tell Sherlock Holmes, because Sherlock Holmes is a deep thinker, and Sherlock Holmes is going to look at this and see other stuff regardless of what Michael Jackson ever says. Sherlock Holmes is going to look at it and see other shit, and he'll find the truth of what's hidden in the message. So Michael tells the stupid public all the stupid shit because they're stupid, but Michael's smart enough to know that there are smart people out there who think like Sherlock Holmes and investigate. And when that person looks at his work, that person will start seeing these other hidden messages of which Michael Jackson left behind and shit, right? Which that person, the great smart person, happened to be me. It only takes one, but the one person of who it was happened to be me. And as you investigate Michael Jackson's story, the hidden messages of what he layered into his art tells the true story of who he was, is that he was abandoned as a child, that he was given to the Jackson family, that Diana Ross told him the truth when he gets to Motown. But then, like I said in the song, she says, I am the one, but the kid is not my son. Because she tells Michael, you're the one, you're the kid of me and Smokey and stuff, right? That's where she says, I'm the one, but then she says, but the kid's not my son, because the lie has become the truth, which is also another line in the Billie Jean. The lie has become the truth, and you are now officially a Jackson. You're part of the Jackson 5, and you have to keep that image alive, and we're going to keep this because they felt obligated to the Catherine and Joe because they did take care of their kid. So they weren't just going to backstab them and shit, right? So they're all in it together. Those small group of little people who know exactly what happened. They made the deal, and that's why then she tells. And so that's the thing with Michael. When he says that line, she says, I'm the one, but the kid is not my son. See, she embraces Michael, destroys the whole life of what he thought he had. She completely destroys that. She embraces him, but then she rejects him again. The kid's not my son. So she embraces him, but then she rejects him again and says, but you are a Jackson now. You've got to go live with them. You can't really be my son. That's what fucked Michael up. That's what causes Michael to have all of the personality traits of what happens with him. That's why Michael is the abandoned baby of a Billie Jean groupie, because the actual original Billie Jean groupie is Diana Ross going after Smokey Robinson. That spawned this unwanted child who had to be abandoned, and in our modern world, he just would have been aborted. You know? So it's one of those things. If you're pro-abortion, well, then you're pro-removal of Michael Jackson from existence. Because if Diana Ross was willing to give her baby away so that she could get those connections and be a star and shit, you don't think that she just would have had an abortion and shit with all the pressure of what they would have been doing? Just get rid of the kid. The kid would have been gone. How many kids of fucking society has that happened to that we don't have in our society that we don't get to know and shit, right? Lots and lots and lots of them. Fucking mass extermination and shit, right? Like they say, you fucking, like, the mother, it's like you're putting the noose on my child in my fucking womb and shit, right? That's what you motherfuckers are doing, right? So, this is what's really going on. But if you want to be like a woman, like a fake man, like what Cousin Oz is here, and all he just wants to see is, oh, look at how cute Michael is with his Sherlock Holmes hat on. Oh, he's so cute. No, he's so pretty, right? If you want to think like a woman, like a fucking moron loser, like what Cousin Oz is, fine. Then you decorate your world with other people's fucking accomplishments. Because you ain't done shit in your world and you're too stupid to ever deal with any form of reality when it's fucking presented to you. You piece of shit loser Cousin Oz. You brain dead fucking bitch ass fucking moron. That's what you are. I dare you to step up and challenge me, you fucking loser. Because I'll fucking destroy you. Because you're a fraud. You got the soul of a fucking woman. You got the brain of a fucking child. You're a fucking loser, dude. You keep collecting your shit. Decorating your fucking room with other people, with fucking people who living off of their fucking accomplishments. You fucking loser. Stand up and do something in the world. Stand up and fucking fight for MJ. Stand up and fight for the truth. Stand up and fight for other people and shit. You do nothing, fucking loser.